Hi, welcome to the Israel First television program from our studios in Jerusalem, looking today at the impact of Israel on other nations. And our special guest in the studio is Rabbi Dov Lippman. Thank you so much for coming in today,
Great to
Rabbi
be here.
Dov. Great to have you with us. Appreciate you giving us your time, coming over to talk to our viewers today about some of the work of Innovation Africa and what Israel is doing in the other nations. And it's one of the headlines in the Israel 21st C. It says, "Light and water flow to rural Africa due to Israeli technology." And Rabbi Dov Lippman has come into the studio. He is working with Innovation Africa. You're originally from the United States. You worked in education and community activism before 2013, and you were the first American-born Israeli to be elected to the Knesset for 29 years. You've served in the Knesset for 2 years and continue as the working with the Yesh Atid party. You've worked with Israel Radio, One Nation with Dov Lippman, Voice of Israel. You've been on I-24 as a political correspondent. You've been in the New York Times, the Jerusalem Post, and the Times of Israel. And even in the, I see that even in the Jerusalem Post, you're in again with the having meetings across the nation. And since October 2017, you are the Executive Vice President of Innovation Africa. So it's really exciting to know about the work of Innovation Africa. We've been looking forward to hearing about the work. And maybe we can even see, there's a video, you've brought some clips for our viewers to see, and we'd like to see that as well. So maybe you can tell our viewers how you got involved, why you got involved in the work of Innovation Africa.
So the story actually began when I was in the Knesset. I was actually in the middle of a very difficult day in the Finance Committee, hours and hours of deliberations about who knows what. And in the middle of that day, I had a meeting scheduled with a woman named Sivan Yaari. And I went to the meeting, it was in my office, and this woman presents to me how she, an Israeli woman, saw the poverty in Africa, saw the lack of electricity, lack of water, and stood up to do something about it, and established this organization called Innovation Africa to use Israeli technology to bring solar technology, to bring electricity to schools, medical centers, clean water, drip irrigation, transform villages in Africa. And I remember when she walked out of my office, I turned to my staff and I said, when I grow up, I want to be like her. This is just pure good. You know, you think about God created a world, and He provided the world with everything that it needs, but He asks for us to be partners with Him in reaching people and touching people's lives. Africa, most people think, is filled with drought, no water, they're just forlorn, there's nothing to do about it. And here, Sivan stood up and realized there are aquifers underground throughout Africa. And we get to be God's partners and from Israel and come and help people with the solar technology, with other Israeli technologies. And in 9 years, they have touched the lives of over 1 million people, 162 villages in 8 different countries, where people now have education, they now have health services, and they have an economy. So when I was done with my time in the Knesset and wasn't reelected and analyzing what do I want to be involved with, I said, I also want to be God's partner in this project and join with Sivan to help bring the light from Israel to these African villages.
And we've got a video, there's a few videos that Innovation Africa have done, but this one explains a bit about the work you're doing, and maybe it'd be good for our viewers to have a look at this video now.
Innovation Africa was funded 9 years ago with a very simple mission, which is to bring Israeli solar technologies to transform schools, medical centers, and most importantly, to pump water. We are operating in 7 African countries, and we have so far installed solar technology in over 100 villages. The reason why Africa is still in poverty is because of the lack of energy. Because there is no energy, people are still searching for water because there is no energy to pump water. People do not have access to vaccines and medicines because there is no electricity in medical centers. And because there is no energy, people cannot get good education. And yet, when you look at the sun, there is so much energy, so much potential. And if we could just harness the energy from the sun, we can change it. We've been using solar energy since the creation of Israel. Almost on every building, there are solar panels. And what we are doing at Innovation Africa, it's simply by bringing the same technologies, simple technologies, to make a change here in the villages.
Are you ready to have clean water? Yes!
Well, that was an amazing video, Rabbi Dov. You know, that the work that Innovation Africa's doing, and people can get involved. If you're watching today, our viewers can get involved. They can go to the website.
Absolutely. Our call to people is be partners with us. This is, like I said, pure good, doing God's work, bringing electricity. There's 600 million people in Africa today who still do not have electricity. 300 million people who don't have clean water, the most basic elements that we have in our lives, and viewers can be part of that. They can actually email me directly if they would like, Dov, D-O-V, at innoafrica.org, I-N-N-O Africa.org, and I can then tell them how they can be partners with us in this process. We have people all around the world who sponsor electricity in health centers. Imagine, you could be the person to bring vaccinations because they have no refrigeration for the medications to children, to hundreds of thousands of children. You could be the one to provide a good education just by giving them this technology for their schools, or the water and the drip irrigation so they can have farming, and all of a sudden a whole village could be transformed. So anybody who's watching can be partners with us. You know, the prophets talk about Israel being a light unto the nations. This is literally Israel being a light unto the nations. Wow. And you know, Genesis 12 tells us that those who bless Israel are blessed, and you can be part of that blessing as well by partnering together with Innovation Africa.
Now, a lot of, maybe even if you're watching today, many people might not know that Israel is doing this work because lots of people have the image that Israel has its own issues they have to sort out. And it's true, there are different things that needs sorting out in Israel, but many people don't know the amount of work that's done by Israel in different nations with technology. And indeed, Israel is where a lot of the technology has come from. I believe drip irrigation came from Israel.
Yeah, there are a number of things that we do in this project which are purely Israeli innovations, and even monitoring. We can, on our phones, we can monitor the flow of the water, the flow of electricity in all the villages, and we can get a sense for, is there a problem, to make sure that everything is being done properly. Israel does have its own issues, but being God's people, and we all know this together because we share this value, it's not just about focusing on yourself. It's what can you do to help others. All people are created in God's image, and we want to make sure that there's no one on earth who doesn't have clean water and doesn't have electricity. And therefore, that's part of Israel's responsibility. The state of Israel is, yes, it's a Jewish state. We have to worry about ourselves, but it's also worry about the world and take care of others. And it's a value which we take very seriously. And you're right. Very often the world has an image of Israel which is created largely by media, United Nations, in a very negative perspective. And hopefully people can see the work of Innovation Africa as one example of an organization, an Israeli organization using Israeli technology to make the world a better place.
And there may be viewers even watching today who are in Africa who would like to benefit from that. They can apply to Innovation Africa. And
people can, again, contact me directly. You can put the email for everyone to see. We're in 8 African countries right now: Uganda, Tanzania, Senegal, Cameroon, South Africa, Ethiopia, Malawi, the Congo, and looking to spread to others as well. We want to help. That's what we're all about. So if people have ideas in terms of places that we can go to, and again, the goal is to help villages that are not part of the grid. They're almost forgotten by the world. The billions of dollars that have flown to Africa over the last decades, and still hundreds of million people without these needs. We're trying to reach them, and that's where our expertise can really be used. And I have to tell you, when you see the looks on faces of children who can finally have a good education, families that can finally have medication, women who can give birth in a place that has lights, villages that are transformed, which now have their own commerce and they have their own products. You're literally changing lives. And I don't think there could be any greater good, any greater godly act there can be on earth than the work that we do. And that's why we call to everyone to partner with us.
And I think for maybe some of the viewers may not understand that, you know, these basic things like water and electricity, which we take for granted in the West, are so vital because of first of all the health. There's health. They have to carry the water from bad areas, and there's mosquitoes, and it causes health problems, and then the clinics haven't got light, and so there's a kind of a terrible in the poverty. There's a very bad vicious circle, isn't there?
Exactly. It's a vicious cycle which, exactly what you said, if they have to spend all day walking to fetch water, and you saw in the video what kind of water they were fetching, there's no time for education, there's no hygiene, there's no health. The good doctors won't come to their areas, the good teachers won't come to their areas. So we're talking about a complete transformation and giving people hope, giving people a future, and that's the work that we're so proud of, because it's not just, here, let me give you a little bit of help over here. One other part also, we empower the villages. It's not, here's somebody coming in and giving you a gift. They have to have a solar committee. They have to show us how they're going to maintain the projects, how they're going to replace the light bulbs. They come up with business ideas for themselves. They need to take ownership of it. And that's what we see, village after village. Like I said, over 160 villages so far. We have a goal by 2025 of reaching 1,000 villages, touching the lives of millions of people, but to totally transform it in this holistic way where they have a bright future on all areas, families can really survive, and the villages can thrive.
Now, one of the issues which will be of particular interest to the viewers, Christian viewers who are watching, you mentioned to me before that you had something very important that you wanted to talk about.
We didn't know this when we started our work, but as we started going into the villages, people started telling us, thank you for coming, thank you for helping us, now we can stay Christian. And we said, now you can stay Christian. What are you talking about? And apparently there's a reality on the ground in Africa where radical Islamic forces come into neighborhoods, villages, and they say, we'll give you water, we'll give you electricity, you have to convert to Islam. And you see Christian village after Christian village where people are now have converted to Islam because that's what they had to do for water and electricity. And that's another component of what we're bringing to these villages, which is we're saying, we want to give you water and electricity because we love you as fellow human beings. We're not asking for anything in return, and stay Christian and stay true to your faiths. So here's another dimension where we've discovered not only are we helping them with the basic elements and giving them a future, but even they're able to stay true to their Christian faith. And we as people of Israel, we want to see that. We don't want to convert anyone to any other faith. People should stay strong in what they believe. So if we're bringing the villages that help, again, people who partner with us can be part of that effort as well, to maintain these Christian villages throughout Africa, and that's an effort which with no doubt will bring God's blessing as well.
Now, if we have viewers in the United States, I know that you're watching in America, how can they get involved? Is it what they call a 501? Or?
501, it is a U.S.-based 501c3, so donations are tax deductible as well, and a large percentage of our funding comes from the United States, and now we're starting to tap into a lot of the Christian communities in the United States who want to be part of that effort, and that's certainly part of the Judeo-Christian ethic and value and relationship which has been restored over the last number of decades, largely via Israel, and now they're able to partner together with us. So absolutely, from around the world, wherever people want to help, we can work together with them. We even, when people donate towards a school or a medical center, there's a plaque that's put up in their name. They can even come and visit and be there to turn on the lights or turn on the tap of water if they want to, and just be a part of the joy that comes through this effort.
And practically speaking, when they give, it's fairly easy because we know that some of our friends and viewers in America, it's very important for them to be able to give inside the United States. They can do that?
Absolutely. Our main offices are in New York City, so it's certainly based in the United States. It's very easy to be done over the website via credit card or any other way. And like I said, people can reach out to me directly, and we can actually go through the process of what's the best way for them to help. Do they want to help a medical center? Do they want to help a school? Do they want to help bring water and farming? And we can talk about the various options that are available. We just recently got a donation from a huge Christian organization to transform an entire village. They're doing the water, the drip irrigation, the medical center, and the school, and it'll be in their name, and that'll be for eternity. That village will know that this organization helped them. So that's certainly our call. And like I said, it's the purest good. Going back to how I started, the money goes right to those projects, and you'll be able to see the people, the lives that you're impacting.
Now, one of the things that's very important when you're working in another country is to work with the governments, and particularly in Africa, how do the governments of Uganda and the other countries that you're working in, how do they respond to what you're doing?
The governments have tremendous appreciation for what we're doing. They know that we're helping their citizens, and we have wonderful relationships with them. I was just at the United Nations a few weeks ago, meeting with the ambassadors from all of these countries, and they're so thankful. We're trying to find ways to do even more. Sivan, our founder and CEO, meets regularly with heads of state from the various countries, and the goal is to work together with them. We're trying to work together with them to make things better for their citizens and for the people that live in their countries. And part of my work is government relations, and we're working with governments all around the world to try to join together in this effort. You have the EU that puts money into Africa. You have the United States State Department that puts money into Africa. So now we can help be the arm to help carry out the work which they want to see done. So we're thrilled to see all these different elements coming together, the private sector, the public sector, and the goal is just to help people's lives and give them a hope, give them a future, and like we mentioned before, to make sure they can stay true to their faith as well.
And if you're watching today and you'd like to get involved, they can go to the website.
They can go right to the website, www.innoafrica.org. They can email me directly. I'd be happy to interact with viewers and guide them through the process. And our call, like I said, is to help partner in God's work. God has given us all the tools, and now the question is, will we stand up and help to reach all of these people who are waiting for that help, who are eager for that help, and give them a future. And it's also for all their generations, because now they're educated, now they have a commerce, now they have a business, and that passes on to their children. And we're literally stopping that cycle of poverty and literally opening up new worlds for people in all of these countries throughout Africa.
And there's a saying, isn't there? If you can save one person, you can save the world. And some people may say, well, it's such a big, Africa is such a big continent. There are so many needs. But if you can change the lives of people and increase that, because, people you're watching today and you really want to get involved and help the work of Innovation Africa, then you can go to their website and they'll be very pleased to hear from you. You can change one person's life, and who knows what that person achieves and goes on to achieve.
Exactly. And when Sivan started, she raised money just for 2 solar panels for one location, for one school. And look what's happened as a result from just that one effort to try to help one community. And there's a domino effect. And you're 100% right. Seeing the young people grow up, and now they have education, now they can become doctors and people who impact the world on a greater level, and leaders. And Africa is a continent which needs this assistance, and the tools are all there. We call it almost a simplicity of a solution. It's all there. We just have to have a willingness, one person after another person, to chip in and help, and solar panel after solar panel, and village after village, and you literally are changing worlds.
And are the people there qualified to do this, or do you have to bring in people from Israel?
So here's another part of it. When I talk about the holistic approach, we train the local people to be engineers. Wow. So now we're empowering them to take control over these projects. And you'll see in the video as they're putting in, you've seen in the video as they're putting in the various elements that there are African citizens of these villages who are engineers who are involved with that. And that's the goal. The goal is to not be the grandfather, so to speak, who comes in and I'll give you gifts and you have to continue relying on us. No, we don't want them to continue relying on us. We want them to be self-sufficient and to maintain everything on their own and give them tools for a brighter future. So we do bring in the Israeli engineers to train them, to teach them. We do come in with some of our materials to be able to implement the projects, but the goal is that it becomes self-sufficient, this holistic approach of an entire village being transformed. And we have a tradition within the Jewish faith of, a person said they want to change the world. They realized they couldn't do that, they said they'll change a country. They couldn't do that, a city. They couldn't do that, a village. They couldn't do that, a home. And once they changed the home, though, they realized that home can then transform the village, and the village can transform the country, the continent, the world. And that's really what's happening over here. Let's go focus school by school, medical center by medical center, farm by farm, and then before you know it, that village is transformed. It can transform the country and the continent and the world. And that's the goal here.
Wow. And if you'd like to get involved and visit their website, Innovation Africa, I guess there's a donate button and they can make a donation. Or
Absolutely. They can make a donation, and every single donation helps. Certainly those who would like to get even more involved and take on an entire project, we can work with that as well. You think it'd be a lot of money, but $18,000 transforms a school. Transforms a medical center. You can $18,000 and you can literally provide health services for an entire village for generations. So we're hoping that people, any donation helps obviously and can go towards saving these lives and improving their futures. And those who want to get involved on an even deeper level, certainly be in touch directly, and we will partner together with you to do this God's work.
And I think that's a lot of our viewers who are watching like this kind of thing, because it's some way they're frustrated sometimes, they can't help and they can't get involved. They want to be involved with Israel. They see the needs, but this is just the kind of project they can really get their teeth into.
Exactly, and really partner with Israel. And that's the emphasis that I want to really put into place here, that this is Israeli innovation, an Israeli woman who has stood up to do this, Sivan Yaari, an Israeli organization, Israeli Innovations Technologies, and Israel fulfilling its mission to be a light into the nations. So what better blessing can there be wherever someone's living around the world to be able to partner together with Israel to fulfill its biblical prophetic mission to be a light into the nations and to literally give life to people village after village. So that's certainly our call, and the sense of satisfaction when you get involved in this kind of a project. I know I go to work every day just elated because I know that we're just working to do pure good. So we hope that we'll have many more partners who can experience that satisfaction and hopefully experience God's blessing, which comes with being involved with such divine work.
Do you have any? Do you know what the kind of issues are for the future? What kind of things are there plans, or are they looking just to increase the work they're doing?
At the moment, the goal is certainly to increase, to reach, like I said, 1,000 villages by 2025. It's very doable. We need a lot of partners to make that happen, but it's very doable. But we're also bringing new innovations. We have engineers in Israel that are working on new types of innovations to help the communities in their farming, let's say. So right now we have the drip irrigation, but there's other Israeli innovations which can help them bring forth products and crops in an easier fashion. So we're looking for ways to develop those technologies as well, specifically geared towards the villages and to enable the people to have even better lives than we're giving them right now.
Well, thank you so much, Rabbi Dov Lippman, coming on the program today, telling us all about your work with Innovation Africa. We know that it's something our viewers will really enjoy, and go to the website, have a look at it, see if you can get involved. If you can get involved, then get in touch with them. And we look forward to seeing you next week on the program.
Hey, shalom, dear friends. Today we are going to look a bit more about adjectives. So we look at names, and now we are going to put some adjectives after them, because in Hebrew we put the adjectives always after we speak about the subject or the object, and after we say how it is. Like, for example, today we are going to speak about Mayim. We saw at the water. We are going to speak about Shemesh, and so we are looking. Mayim can be dirty or can be clean. So dirty is meluchlach, this is singular masculine, because again in Hebrew you can, when you speak about something, it will be always like masculine or feminine, and after you have the plural for masculine and plural for feminine. So when we use the name Maim, water, meluchlach will be in the plural meluchlachim. So today I will say, oh, in Africa, Africa, I can find ani motza, some dirty water. Maim meluchlachim. Okay, but now we find also another adjective when we have dirty water, but we can have clean water, which is very important for us. So clean will be naki in singular and masculine. For a feminine, it will be nakia. You can hear at the end, so it's for feminine. And when it's plural, like for maim, it will be nekim. So I can say today, ba Africa, in Africa, ani motza, I'm finding some clean water, ma'im, nekiim. So that's it, we've done, we look at that, this is wonderful. And I want also to give you also a part of a psalm, because we are learning also to read the Torah in Hebrew, and it's wonderful to be able to do that together. So I have today the Psalm 136, and it's verse 8. The sun to rule by day, for his mercy endures forever. So we say it now in Hebrew, okay? Et hashemesh, which is the sun. Le memshelet, which means ruling. Memshelet is government, so it's like the sun govern, okay? And bayom is by day. Ki leolam chazdo, which means because his love or his kindness endures forever. And sometimes we take it for granted, but like when we have the sun every day who is warming us up, and even if it's behind the clouds, the sun is there to give us light and is very important. So his kindness is every day for us. He's looking after the world, and we know that tomorrow the sun will be again there. Well done. We will see you next week again. Bye.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today on the program, on the Israel First television program, where we've looked at the work of Innovation Africa. We've had our special guest, Rabbi Dov Lippman, who is working with them. We do hope that you'll get involved with them. And don't forget, it's because of your support that we can do the program today and tell you about the work of Innovation Africa. Remember, you can visit our website, www.israelfirst.org. We love to receive your emails. It's info@israelfirst.org. And remember, we're the program that looks at the land, the people, and the language.